everyone, and welcome back to the channel about all things budget friendly and saving money. So today we are going to explore a topic that honestly can be a treasure trove or it can be a tricky pitfall. So it is bulk buying. So let's go ahead and unpack the do's and don'ts of bulk buying at the grocery store, and let's make sure you're saving some money. Now, when you hear bulk buying, that means it's a promise of bigger savings, right? Well, not always the case, okay? And what I mean by that is that certain bulk purchases can indeed slash our spending. But on the other hand, it can actually lead us to overbuy and can cause a ton of food waste. That's not good for our budget. So let's figure out how to do one without the other, okay? Now let's start with the winners. I like to think of every item that I stock up on as having three main parts. Okay. The first one, it has to be non perishable. Okay. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but it has to be something that I can store either in my pantry or my freezer. Okay. The second thing is it has to be frequently used by my family. If it's an item that we only use once in a while, there really is no point in bulk buying. But if it's an item that we typically use every week or every month, then yes, it's definitely worth buying. Now, the last thing is it has to naturally have a long shelf life. For instance, coffee has a very long shelf life. We're going to use it every day, and it's technically non perishable because it doesn't have to be refrigerated at a certain temperature. So that's going to be an item I'm going to stock up on. Other items would be like rice or pasta or canned goods. Now, the bulk deals that I want to avoid are items that are going to perish quickly, especially items that I can't freeze for later. This would be stuff like lettuce. I have never been able to freeze lettuce and it work out later, so it doesn't matter how good of a deal it is. I'm not going to buy more than what I can use. Okay. The second thing is if it takes up too much storage space. Okay. Yes, I use coffee every day and I love coffee and it's expensive. And when I find a good deal, I want to stock up. And I will stock up with as much storage space as I have available, which is going to be about 3 to 6 months worth. Even though technically I might want to have a year's worth of coffee, I just don't have the space for it. And the last thing is if it's an item that I don't use very frequently, there's really no point in bulk buying it, especially if you have kids. How many times have they absolutely loved a snack and then you go out and buy an absolute ton of it and all of a sudden they hate it, it's gross, they won't touch it. Okay? So I would focus on items that you can use for meals and that you're going to be able to store in a safe way, meaning there's some stuff like mayonnaise you don't want to store where it's going to have direct sunlight. Okay? Because by overbuying items that are not good fits, it's not only going to cost us more, but it's going to lead to food waste. Now, speaking of food waste and storage, this is really the key to bulk buying, okay? Because if you have the effective storage for these items, they can last a very long time. We don't want to store items in direct sunlight if it's going to make them go bad quicker. Ideally, your pantry is going to have doors that close. It's going to be in like a temperature controlled area, and it's not going to have any type of rodents or pets or anything that could possibly get into it. Now, one of the key tips that I do is I like to write the expiration dates on top of my cans and on top of my boxes. And I always put the items that I just buy in the back of the shelf. So that way I'm always using the oldest item first. Now, when I buy items like meat that I'm going to put in the freezer, or even if I like buy a ton of produce and I go ahead and chop it up and freeze it, I'm going to write the date that I purchased the item or that I put it in the freezer, and I'm going to put it in the back. So that way, if I already had chicken in the freezer, I'm not using the chicken I just bought. I'm using the chicken that I bought the oldest. So that way, everything in my freezer gets used up, oldest to newest. That's going to cut down on the chance of things like freezer burn or it going bad or anything like that. Because if we have to buy something and then throw it in the trash can, we might as well just threw the money in the trash can. Now, one of the biggest tools in bulk buying is knowing your price per unit. Now, it is required in every grocery store for there to be a price per unit listed on the sales tag. But the only problem is there is no requirement that that price per unit be done in a helpful manner. It just has to show the price for a unit, but it doesn't specify what that unit is. So, for instance, if you were to find a 20-pound bag of rice and you know you're going to use it, you have the storage space for it, and it's going to be shelf stable, it might appear to be a good deal. But that 20-pound bag of rice may cost more per pound than the 5-pound bag of rice. So you need to be able to, I know most of us don't carry a calculator anymore, but we do carry a phone. It has the same capabilities. You need to plug in the total price, divide it by the units, and then compare those unit prices to determine if it's actually a good deal and it's worth stocking up. Now, our bulk buying should also work with our meal planning. Okay. And what I mean by that is we want to buy large quantities of items that can be used for multiple meals and not only helps with our budget, but it also simplifies meal planning. So, to give an idea here, sometimes at my local Kroger, they have these huge family packs of chicken breasts on sale for super cheap, like sometimes even $1.29 a pound, which I would say is an amazing deal. But the only problem is if I take that big old pack, that family pack, and just put it in my freezer, I'm going to make a whole lot more work of myself later on when it comes time to meal plan. Now, when I buy that big family package, first off, as soon as I get home, I'm going to open it up. And usually those chicken breasts are huge. So I'm going to take the time and I'm going to go ahead and cut them in half. And then I am going to section them out into an amount that I would typically use. So for my family, that is usually 3 to 4 halves of a chicken breast in each bag. I like to use a vacuum sealer because it works for me, but you can also just use the freezer Ziploc style bags and then make sure to write the date that you put them in there. Now, when it comes time to meal plan in a week or two and I want chicken, I can very easily go to my freezer and see, hey, I have 12 packs of chicken here, and each one of these packs could last for 1 to maybe 2 meals. So that is simplifying my meal planning, not making it more complicated. Another thing on that is like with chicken breasts, I want to buy chicken breasts that are plain. When you buy chicken that's already pre-marinated or has a flavor on it, you're limiting to what you can use it for. So when I'm going to bulk purchase something, I want it in a very natural state to where I can use it for multiple items. If I were to use that marinated chicken, I may only be able to use it for 1 or 2 items. So this wraps up our bulk buying for today. So if this guide has helped you or inspired you, definitely hit that like button. And also let me know your stocking up or bulk buying wins and any tips you have down in the comments below. So definitely subscribe for some more money saving tips. We try to put out 2 videos a week. And until next time, keep shopping smart. Bye.